When somebody opens YouTube, your thumbnail has approximately 0.2 seconds to catch that person's attention, pique their interest, and make them click. If you mess up at this stage, all of the time and effort you spend on creating the content itself immediately goes to waste, leaving you with no views, no subscribers, and often no will to continue this crap at all. That is why today I will reveal the same thumbnail psychology framework that made plenty of YouTube channels, including mine, blow up and get monetized. This is going to be more than just some color theory bullshit or tips about adding a face to the thumbnail. If you understand and apply what I'm about to reveal, your next thumbnail will attract and literally force the right people to click, as well as give them the intent of watching till the end. Step number 0. The technical eye-catching. And please do not confuse this with what actually makes people click. This is just the step 0 of physically catching the eye's attention. Things like human faces, colored outlines, boosted colors, using recognizable objects are the common practices that gurus advise all the time. The problem is that this in itself only catches the looks of the eye and not the curiosity of the mind, meaning that it does make people look at the thumbnail a bit more often, but it doesn't make them click and watch till the end like the next steps I will uncover do. And actually, the reason why I even mentioned it is because I want to isolate that technical bullshit from the real psychology, so let's get into it. Looks are the vibe. The thing that actually matters in looks is the style it conveys and triggers in a viewer's mind. Because when you see a thumbnail made like that, you already expect the video to be entertaining and over-edited, whereas when you see one like that, you expect it to be some boring but valuable lesson. The key is to understand what your content really is and match the vibe of the thumbnail to it, so that when someone sees it, they know it's something along the lines of X, and then they can decide whether to watch it or not. But before we continue to step 2, I want to tell you about this amazing tool called TubeLab. Using TubeLab, you can research viral YouTube videos or whole niches all with just few clicks. You can find what ideas, topics, thumbnails, or even titles are actually going viral in a specific niche and bring it to your niche, or notice what is slowly starting to blow up in your niche and use it before everyone else hops on the trend. In both cases, you simply go viral too. And even if you don't have a niche chosen yet, you can find a new unsaturated and profitable niches with one click, as well as check if and how much any channel in that niche actually earns. Never in history has an AI been so good at YouTube as TubeLab is, therefore you have my word of approval for this tool. If you upgrade to Pro using the link below, I will personally do an audit of your channel, so make sure to check it out. Attention narrowing, which is literally the embodiment of less is better. It is highly beneficial to reduce the amount of objects visible on the thumbnail, thus driving the attention to the main one, because too many objects make the thumbnail physically clustered, which makes it hard to understand. And if it's hard to understand, then nobody will bother clicking on it. But if you for some reason still want to have many objects, then what you should do is draw the attention to that one key element, and that can be achieved by using arrows, circles, highlighting, outlining, or making the whole rest differ, for example blurred or noised, thus making the key element stand out. But I don't want you to think that it is the amount of objects or the blur effect in itself that makes people click. It's about creating a single point of big attention rather than many points of small attention. Step number 3. The usage of faces. This is one of the elements that I mentioned in the step 0 because they do catch attention, but now I want to focus on how to use them to make people click. The face should convey an emotion that not only someone in the video has felt, but that the viewer is also likely to experience from watching the video. Look at this. When Mr. Beast puts a shocked face into his thumbnail, it means that someone inside the video was feeling shocked.
Oh no, Jimmy. Oh my god.
But also that you watching will most likely feel shocked too. When there is a face of someone crying tears of joy, it's not just about them crying, it's also indirectly saying, hey, this is something emotional and you might cry just like that person. This is a really powerful tool, especially in the entertainment niche, because it allows you to double down on the promise of a specific emotion that the viewer might be seeking. However, if you fail to deliver on what you promise, the viewer will see you as another clickbaiter, and not only will he click off, but also never click on your thumbnails again. Therefore, use the promise of an emotion wisely. Step number 4. Information transfer mediums. So graphs, numbers, charts, they all work just like faces do, but instead of conveying an emotion, they convey a promise of a real, measurable change. Once again, this is really powerful, but just like with facial expressions, it has to promise something that impacts the viewer's life. The rising green chart implies that someone inside the video improved something, but more importantly, it suggests that the viewer will improve that thing too if he watches the video till the end. The key, however, is to focus on both sides. You achieved something, so will the viewer if he watches the video. This way you build trust and authority while tapping into their desires or fears, which gets the click. It's the same psychology as using a face, except now you're working with a real measurable metrics instead of emotions. Step number 5. Knowledge gaps. In order to actually make people curious, we need to leave a curiosity gap, which means a literal hole in information, and this can be achieved by either blurring or pixelating the element, or even better, by removing the context in which the object was. In both situations, the viewer asks himself, why? How? What does that mean? And that's what gets him to click. Take a look at this thumbnail. You don't really know what this object is, you don't really know what are the surroundings, and you are simply curious what is the video about, how does that relate to the title. Therefore you wanna click. So in other words, the thumbnail has to hint only a small piece of information rather than give away the whole context. This is the whole knowledge gap. You cannot tell the viewer everything at once, and instead you should hook him just enough to make him interested. Nothing more, nothing above. Step number 6. Using text. This is the opposite of removing the context. Using text, you can add or modify the context, where without it, the viewer wouldn't really know the reason to watch your video or wouldn't be surprised enough. Look at how much difference this thumbnail has with the text and without. See? They convey a completely different thing. There is no rule of thumb, but short rhetorical questions or unexpected statements are what seems to work the best. The only two ways you can mess this up is by number 1, repeating the same information that's already present in the title, or number 2, by making it too long or too small or just anything else that makes it hard to read. Also, if you have the A/B testing tool unlocked, always test a version both with the text and a version without, because sometimes the image alone is just more powerful. Step number 7. Cognitive comparison. The most known example of a comparison is the before and after style, which you already know, and I do suggest giving it a try, but as it turns out, you don't always have to show two sides. This thumbnail, for example, makes the viewer himself compare his situation with the portrayed situation, and in this exact case that I'm showing, it is a positive bias comparison that teases the viewer with the dream positive outcome from watching the video, so the viewer thinks, hey, this is what I wanna be or do in the future, let me watch this. But on the other hand, you can show only the before, which will create a negative bias comparison. In that case, the viewer will think, hey, I actually am like this relates to me. Which first of all will make them feel understood, but also make them think, hey, I don't wanna be like that anymore. So now you are scaring them with the negative result that comes from not watching the video. You are making the viewer himself compare his current state with the one shown on the thumbnail. And if you want to grow on YouTube by creating better content, then check out my paid community where I help each member one-on-one when it comes to YouTube. You also get access to my private list where I keep ideas, titles, thumbnails, topics and plenty of organically vital stuff ready to be replicated on your channel. Actually, my second video on this channel, which got 300k views, was based on one of the concepts that I had in that list, and it is still getting views. You can check the rest of the features and apply on my free Discord, where we also share some YouTube knowledge with each other, so make sure to check it out first. Thanks for watching and comment what do you wanna see next. Yes, I do read all of the comments.